Assalamu alaikum. My name is Maria, and I converted to Islam 1 year ago. I'm from Boulder, Colorado. I was born here. I went to school here my whole life. Both of my parents, they're actually from South Africa. They immigrated here. Neither of them are religious. They're both atheists, so they don't really believe in God. I have one brother. He's studying music at the University of Colorado. He is Catholic, so he's not Muslim either. Before I converted, I didn't really believe in God. I didn't really have a religion. I didn't really have a faith, I guess you could say. I kind of grew up as my parents taught me, so I didn't really believe in God, and I didn't believe in really any religion at all.
We didn't raise our children in any faith. We didn't take them to church. Neither of them were baptized in a Christian church. And the American school system is very good because we sent them to public schools. It's non-sectarian, non-religious. They're exposed to those things. They can learn about that.
Talked about religion, we kind of talked about it almost negatively, I guess. We didn't really, before, I didn't really see religion as a good thing. I thought it was something that caused a lot of problems, you know, especially in the world with wars and stuff. I viewed it mostly negatively.
We discuss everything, including religion, as a family. We have done since they were small, and we are not against religion at all. Just because we don't have faith does not mean we're against it. And we've always said to them, they must find their own way and their own interests, their own path, and their own convictions. And we've never stood in the way of them doing that.
I guess I first learned about Islam about maybe 2 years ago. I was dating this guy from Pakistan. And so that was the first time that I really opened up to Islam and was more open to learning about it, not just thinking about it negatively. I really didn't know anything about it at all. So after talking to him and talking to a few other people, I started to gather more facts, and I bought an English copy of the Qur'an that I started reading.
Maria had this new boyfriend. His name was Munib, and he was a wonderful guy. I mean, we accepted him into our family and into our hearts right away. He was making his own path. He was studying biomedical mechanical engineering, but he also had done a lot of things in the student community. He had won an award in 2007 as International Student of the Year at CU, and he had started an international coffee hour at CU. And we joked about it because he was born in Nigeria and we were born in Africa, and with that introduction, that close introduction into...
When I met my fiancé, we didn't really talk about religion. I didn't think about him in the sense of being a Muslim or being very religious. I guess I just thought of him as being a really noble and kind-hearted person. He was one of the best people that I've ever known, of such good character. He really was kind to everybody. He was never mean to anybody. Even if he didn't like you, he would be nice, and he would never look you straight in the face and be mean. And I guess when I thought about him, I didn't think about those qualities being because of Islam. I just thought they were because of him. But the more I thought about it and the more I realized that, maybe these things, maybe these good things about him were because of Islam, Maybe because he was a Muslim, he actually ended up being more kind-hearted and more open and a better person.
It was difficult to come to terms with his family's reaction because they were very unhappy about the relationship.
They had never met Maria. His family had never met Maria.
His family were horrified that he had a girlfriend who was not a Muslim. His family were very unhappy.
I can imagine perhaps if the situation had been reversed and our daughter was studying in a foreign country and we're suddenly going out with somebody of a different faith or religion, and I would be at least
a little nervous.
Yes, yeah. I'd want to know a little bit more about it.
The reason that I really chose Islam, when I really decided that it was going to be the right thing for me, that guy that I was dating from Pakistan, we were engaged for a long time. He was my fiancé, and at the time I was going to school in Arizona, and he was coming to visit me. He was driving from Boulder to Arizona to come visit me, and he was actually killed in a car crash. And so that was when it was my first real experience with death And that was really what inspired me to like look more into Islam. I read the Qur'an, and I read a lot of books, and I talked to a lot of people. And eventually I remember one day I was reading the Qur'an. It was maybe 2 months after he died. And I was reading the Qur'an, and it just, it all kind of like clicked for me. I just had this moment where it all made sense. Everything that I was reading, and everything that I knew, and everything about him, and everything about this whole situation, really. I just came to a point where I just knew that it was right. I guess the first time I said the Shahada, like, I was by myself. It was, you know, that point where I realized that everything. Later I did, when I ended up talking about it with some of my Muslim friends, they convinced me to go to Denver, because there's a sheikh in Denver that I went and I talked to, and, you know, I talked with him, and he kind of made sure that this is what I really wanted to do. You know, he wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing it for somebody, that I wasn't doing it for my fiancé. You know, and when he, you know, when we talked about this, and I told him, yes, you know, this is for myself, you know, I said the Shahada with him, and with two other of my friends, you know, like as witnesses. I didn't ever really talk too much about it with my parents, you know, just because I know that they weren't really keen on religion. I think the first time they realized that I was really getting serious was the last Ramadan. And I fasted, you know, for the whole Ramadan. It was my first Ramadan. It was really hard. But, you know, I did it, and that's when they kind of realized, oh, she's serious, you know. They're like, wow, she's really not eating all day. And I think that's when they first realized that it was serious. You know, I never really talked too much about it, but eventually, you know, they kind of came to accept it. I suppose if I hadn't met my fiancé, I might not have learned as much about Islam as I did, and I might not have made the decision to convert as soon as I did. I mean, now looking back on everything that's happened, I think I still would have ended up converting if I'd learned what I had. I think it would have just taken me a lot longer, and it wouldn't have been as clear a decision. Because when he died, it really made things clear to me. Like, I'd never had such an intense experience, I guess. You know, went to some parties and did that kind of a thing. I would say I was a different person. After I converted, I kind of felt like I had like a clean slate, you know, like I could kind of start things over in a way. I felt like some of the bad things I did in my past, you know, before I was a Muslim, I felt like they kind of, not got erased, but lost significance, you know. I felt, but after I converted, I kind of changed a lot of the people that I was hanging out with, and so most of my friends now are Muslims. You know, we'll hang out together, and on Friday nights we'll hang out and like go to a movie or go bowling or something. We won't like, you know, go to a party. So I think who you hang out with definitely helps, and my friends have helped me to, you know, make the switch. I do think about, you know, marriage sometimes. I don't worry about it too much. You know, I feel like I will find the right person, and I do want them to be Muslim, obviously. I'm not really interested in like dating anybody that's not a Muslim right now. I just, you know, I feel like right now it's such a big part of me that I don't really want to like date anybody that's not a Muslim. So my parents actually, they liked my behavior better after I converted. They didn't have to worry about me as much, you know. They didn't have to worry like, how is she going to get home safe, you know, that kind of a thing. They knew that I wasn't going to be going and doing anything stupid, so they actually, I think they felt better about my behavior afterwards. Well, when I first put the veil, it was definitely very hard. It was really hard. Classes, they were difficult. You know, I felt like everybody's staring at me. You know, there are other girls here that wear the hijab, but I think right now I'm the only American girl here wearing hijab. I definitely feel like proud. I feel good. I feel like it's part of me now. You know, I feel better about myself that I'm wearing it.
The Muslims that I've known have been very strong in their faith and practice their religion very regularly. They get up early and they pray and they incorporate it into their lives.
I don't think my parents are embarrassed when we go out and I'm wearing the hijab. I think that my parents actually have come to be proud of the fact that I wear it when we go out. I think they think that it shows other people that you can wear the hijab and still be smart. You can still, you know, be like your own person. You can still be independent. You can still think on your own. You know, just because you're wearing hijab, it doesn't mean, you know, something negative about you. And I think that they actually respect the fact that I wear the hijab now more. I guess the thing that attracts me the most to Islam is just the idea that we're all like we're all in this together, I think. You know, like it's just kind of treat other people as you would like to be treated, you know. I mean, that's goes without saying, but you know, I think in Islam they really believe it, you know, and in Islam there's a big focus on keeping your word, you know, and like being true to yourself and, you know, not being hypocritical, and I really like those things. I really think that we should treat other beings like they are humans, you know, like they are human beings, like they mean something. I get along a lot better with my brother now. You know, like any brother and sister, like we've definitely had our fights. But we get along definitely, and he's okay with the fact that I wear hijab, and he's accepted the fact that I'm Muslim, you know, and he converted to Catholicism before I converted to Islam, so he was already open to the idea of religion and open to the idea of, you know, a God, and so he was much more open, I think, to the fact when I converted. Yeah, we do talk about it, you know, we like to compare and contrast, you know, the two religions, and, you know, he thought it was interesting when I told him that in Islam, you know, we do believe in Jesus. You know, he was, like, shocked. He was like, I thought Muslims didn't believe in Jesus, you know. Mary, too, you know, because Catholicism is really about Mary, and so when I told him that Mary has her own chapter in the Qur'an, he was like, wow, you know, he was really impressed. I'm making musemen, and I learned how to make these in Morocco when I was there for like 3 months. I stayed with a host family, and my host mom loved to cook. Most of my friends love it. Like, they love it when I make these because they're always like, bring us some. An American that converted, I think people, they get a lot of misperceptions about Islam. The media, newspapers, TV, like, they all portray Islam in a very negative way. You know, you never see a Muslim being a good person. You know, you always hear about, you know, terrorists or extremists. You know, you never hear about the good things that Muslims do, and I don't think people know enough. Like, I really don't. Like, before I converted, I knew almost nothing about Islam, you know. And, you know, we weren't taught this in school, university, nothing, you know. So I really had to learn it all on my own, and most people just never learn. So I think they just don't know a lot, and, you know, the media just portrays Islam in such a negative way. It makes it difficult. I guess most of my non-Muslim friends, when they talk to me about Islam, most often they ask me, like, why I converted, you know, and then they ask me about Islam, and they say, you know, like, is it true you have to pray 5 times a day, you know, is it true, like, they ask me all these things, and a lot of times they ask me things that just don't make sense, you know. They're like, you know, they'll be like, all Muslims are terrorists or something, and so I just have to explain things to them because they don't know almost anything about Islam.
Most people just don't know enough about it. The people that do hate or do discriminate, they just don't know enough about the culture, the religion, to be able to differentiate between people that are terrorists and just people that are Islamic background.
This summer I did a lot of traveling. I remember we ended up calling my grandma, you know, just to say hi, you know, how are you, we're together, we were thinking of you, that kind of a thing, and she knew that I had just come from Morocco. And so I remember she was talking to me on the phone, and she said, now Maria, you know, you shouldn't turn into any of those Muslims because, you know, they're just, you know, they're so oppressive and they treat their women so poorly. And I remember I just said, yes, Grandma, yes, whatever you say. I would definitely say that I'm proud to be an American as well as proud to be a Muslim. A lot of people think that those two things can't coexist. You know, they think that you can't be an American and be a Muslim at the same time. But I found that that's definitely not true. You know, I do keep a lot of, like, my American traits while at the same time, you know, embracing Islam and, you know, forming a new identity around Islam, but still incorporating my American values and my American way of life. My message to other people would be just to look at other people like they are yourself. You know, just know that not all Americans fit the stereotypes that you see on TV. I would say that most of America does not think about Islam in the way that you might think. We do see, some people do, anyways, do see Islam not as a bad thing. Peace can exist with all these different religions. You know, everybody doesn't have to be the same religion. We can all still manage to get along and coexist and live together and live peacefully and have a productive society with people of different religions. It's a good thing to have people with different religions because you get different views, you get different ideas, you know, and that's really the most important thing when you're trying to have a successful community.
I think having a Muslim daughter is, it has opened my eyes to the good, positive things that exist in Islam, and I would like to think that Muslims could also open their eyes and see the good, positive things that there are in this country and the tolerance that exists here.